Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Monday Night Magic with your favorite epigenetic geeks, my amazing friend and co-host Ken Close, and myself, Lori Falk. We are, as usual, thrilled to be here with you this evening. And gosh, what are we going to talk about tonight? Make America healthy again. Okay, so couple things right off the bat. I know the ad says Maha. Okay. So I got a lot of questions about that. And all I want to say is what we're talking about here tonight isn't about politics at all. None of this is about politics at all. What it is about is healing the world. Healing the world. And the fact that out of all the people in the world, our amazing Ken was asked to come out to DC and speak on this panel at this conference on Saturday, the 18th, right before the inauguration, is a miracle and not. And that's one of the things we're going to discuss tonight because I've asked Ken if he will share with all of you how he manifested this because it's absolutely a pure manifestation. And then we're going to go into what he's going to share with the world. How exciting is that? We get to hear it first right here in Monday Night Magic. And then, because I know a lot of you have been waiting for this, we're going to chat briefly about the gut reset program that Ken and I will be co-facilitating the first weekend in February. So,
Woo! We got a full show here, you guys. Oh my gosh. Buckle up, throw on your helmet because it's gonna get bumpy. Well, that's okay. This is one of the disclosures actually I usually will tell people I'm working with. The number one is I say that. I literally say that. Don your helmet, put on your seatbelt, because the moment that we dive into the quantum field and we start to create on purpose, it gets really bumpy and things are at an accelerated rate. Remember, every cell in your body communicates at the speed of light. Do you think it's any different working with the quantum field? No, it's not. In fact, quantum entanglement suggests that it's simultaneous, even faster than the speed of light, instantaneous. So, what's that mean? Can you fathom instantaneous response? Right? That it's like it's faster than making a phone call, far quicker than blinking your eye. Think about this for a second. Blink your eye. That's pretty fast, right? And then the other thing that people do is like just dart your gaze from one spot to another, one spot to another. Just quick dart back and forth. I'm not saying across the room. Just you can do 1 inch. Doesn't matter. You dart your gaze from one spot to the other, and you see how quickly the response is. You see how fast the information is uploaded into your brain from your eye, right? The content that's being displayed is moving at the speed of light. The information, aka neurological hardware and software and functionality, is moving at the speed of light. And yet you may see a little delay from looking from one spot to the other, right? So when we talk about instantaneous, it's even faster than that. So you ready to hear how we
I
truly?
want to hear it. And if I want to hear it, they want to hear it.
So what
How did this happen? What did you do? How did you call this one in?
all I want everyone to understand principle. You probably heard me say this before. As an engineer, we put principles together, not just components, not just one thing or another, but each thing represents a principle within the whole. Okay. So if we understand principles, we can kind of take those principles, mix, match, and move them around within our lives and apply them wherever we want. That's the beauty of understanding a principle. It will apply to Lori perhaps differently than me, right? Which would be different than some of the folks in the audience. When we teach a principle, it means that this is a way of being, doing, perceiving, and thinking. Those are the things that we do. So okay, all right. So now let's build a little cubicle of principles. Number one, when we want anything to be different in our life, here's the hard part. I'm not saying this is very simple. I'm just It's simple. I'm not saying it's easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it, and we'd all be speaking at the inaugural ball and dancing at the ball together. We'd all be there, wouldn't we? But that's that, and maybe some of you don't want to be there, so that would be a valid reason too. But the point is that number one, we've got to be willing to surrender. Number one, you got to be willing to surrender. Surrender what? Well, everything that's not working. I mean, not just one little thing, but everything that's not working. So part of the principles is to not force or push or fight against anything. It's simply to make what doesn't work obsolete. You follow me? So in other words, we are intelligent human beings. You know, some of us might be in our 50s. I mean, none of you guys, but I'm beyond that. I'm saying some of you guys might be in your 50s. Some of you may not be. You're younger than that. You know, God bless you. But the point is that we have intelligence. We've spent this many decades, this many years getting to where we are right now, and that's valid content. We are a valid human being with intellect, skills, value, and purpose. And yet, if we're wandering around in an unhealthy body or some form of our lives that is not clicking in homeostasis, then we need to release something. And I'm not saying that what you believe and know and have learned is not valuable, but something is not valuable within that belief structure. And we have to be willing to give it up. Okay, so number one is being able to surrender. Surrender what is not serving you, surrender what you don't want, and not focus on that. So this is what happens. A lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, I know this because I do it. And the hundreds of people I talk to do it. And I believe that maybe some of you might do it, but you may think about things you don't want. Anybody out there ever think about something you don't want? Right? Well, maybe none of you, I know, but there's somebody you know out there that might think about things they just don't want or they just don't like. Okay. That, my friends, is taking valuable energy from your mind, renting space in this infinite mind of yours, and consuming energy against your creation, against what you do want. Think of it as a cup, and you have the ability to fill it with what you do want and what you don't want. And if you fill it way to the top with what you don't want, there's very little room to have what you do want. And we put so much energy, focus, and attention on what we don't want because there's fear, concern. It's going to hurt me. It hurt me before. It's going to hurt me if it comes again. I failed last time. I'm going to fail again. I don't want. Okay. That is consuming most of the people on this planet to some degree. In some, it's higher than others, but to some degree, it is consuming most of the people on this planet. Because in some fashion, we don't want something, and that catches our attention. I know that I've been on stage many times. Some of you have presented and been on stage, and you're giving your content, and there's one person out there that has that face, right? Has that facade, and all you can see is them, right? And everybody else is like, woohoo, you know, and all you see is the one person out there that just feels like they're eating your energy up. And they are, because you're letting them. You're putting your attention on what you don't want. And that's not a one-to-one ratio, ladies and gentlemen. The amount of energy that we place on what we don't want consumes up to 3 times as much energy as to what we do want. Reason is because it pushes you into sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, and energy must be mobilized within the body to protect you, right? Against something you don't want, against something that's not even here. It's an imaginary thing that you're worried about that's not even here yet. So that's first step, is to surrender. Surrender to what you don't want. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. You know, like Lori said, we're going to be, I'm presenting at this event. And I don't know if you guys are Trump supporters or not. I don't care. I'm not, this is not politics. It doesn't matter. What matters is the audience, the media, the microphone is going to be in my hand. And I understand how these bodies work to the degree in which I can teach you the genetic expression of every cell in your body. And so if I can get that message across just a little bit, I don't care what the venue is, and I don't care anybody that, I mean, we're going to have this leadership in office, like it or not, so we can sit there and say, I don't like, and guess what you're filling up in your cup? People, this is important. We can be against something and it's going to consume energy and fill up our cup. We don't have to, we don't have to agree, but we do need to simply allow. The law of allowance is a universal principle, right? We don't need to push against it. So number two, that's the surrender part. Number two is intention. Intention. You need to have the most clear signal, the most clear understanding, the most clear picture of what you do want, right? What you do want. Because how many of you guys have, I don't know, maybe asked for more money, and you drive to the grocery store, you walk into the store, you walk outside, and there's a shiny penny on the floor. Woohoo! Guess what you just got? You got more money. Is that what you wanted? No, a penny. Oh, great. Okay, it's beautiful. It's a penny. But what you may have wanted maybe was another $100,000 a year, right? Or whatever it was. It wasn't just that penny. We were not clear. We were not clear. And believe me, the infinite intelligence, the quantum field, is simply objective. It doesn't hear you whether you're saying I do or I don't. It's hearing your energy. It's hearing your frequency, your field. And when you say I want more money, it doesn't care. What may fit the environment is the one penny that somebody just happened to slip out of their pocket, right? And was just kind of just innocently sitting there, and it answered your question. Here's the thing, folks. The universe, God, quantum field, whatever you want to believe in, is listening to you 24/7, 100% of the time. And I'm not talking about in greater quantities, one or the other. No, we all have a soul, and there's not one soul that is greater in the field than another. It is a unified field of source energy, unified field of source energy. And every single one of these human bodies are allowed a intelligent interface with that field, an intelligent interface. And we know this because in epigenetics, it's shown the 800,000 cells per second that are reorganizing in your body are done so with a very intelligent code. And you're not doing it. There's an intelligent force, an intelligent orchestration that's doing this. And every human body, every life form, as a matter of fact, not just human body, but every life form has this same gift. So no one is more important than the other on that unifying field. Understand? We all get the same ability. The body has the ability to create 800,000 cells per second. It does it on its own. So it's not one more than the other. And so your significance here, in this life, at this moment, in this time, is equal. What you do with that significance is maybe various and adjustable and different, but your significance here is necessary. And so the next piece is your intention. When you have a clear intention, now, like I said, the universe, the creative field, the unified field is listening to you every second. And those 800,000 cells per second, the unique code for every one of those cells is influenced by your consciousness. Okay, so So source gives the energy of life, but your consciousness refines it. Understand? Write that down. Think about it. Source, life itself, gives you that gift. Life is yours. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be here on this call. Okay. Life is your gift. What you do with the code is your own consciousness orchestration. Understand? So you have a 97% influence over that genetic code by your simple frequency. Simple frequency. And that frequency is your thought. Your frequency is your intention. This is why the second part is super, super important. Your intention creates a signal. It creates a frequency. And that frequency, that intention, is mental. It's the mind. Understand? It's electrical. So when you have a thought, it creates a surge of energy through the synaptic connections, or through the neurons in your brain, through synaptic connections. And that electrical charge, that movement of energy, creates a wave, a magnetic wave that goes out into the world. And that wave is heard. It's heard by the universe. It's also heard by every cell in your body. The genetic code is rewritten in second by second by that frequency, by that wave. All right. The second part of that intention work is your emotion, the way you're feeling in the body. The feeling in the body is the magnetic push of that signal of the thought. So your body creates a magnetic push and pull. It's both push and pull. It's magnetic. What's a magnetic signal do? It oscillates. The magnetic field of the earth has a north and a south pole, yes? And energy flows in a cyclic way, torus field. You have the exact same field, by the way. It's measurable. It's measurable. We have instrumentation that we can take you, stand you in a spot and measure this torus field, what we call lines of flux. That's what we call it in electronics. Lines of flux. We can measure them. And your field radiates out or in based on your body's consumption. When you're consuming energy with worry, thought, disconnect, fear, unworthiness, whatever, you're collapsing the field into the body, and it does not radiate very far. It doesn't go very far. So you're not getting much push. You can have a thought all you want. You can have a wish to the highest degree in your brain, but it doesn't go anywhere because the body's collapsing all the energy with fear, lack, unworthiness, hatred. I don't care what it is. It's those lower frequencies. And your body has no push to get the signal out there. So this is how you build an intention. You build an intention with such clarity that the body does not know the difference between it being a thought in your mind or an experience in your world. And remember, the body is completely objective. It just wants to serve your mind, your consciousness. And if your consciousness is in lack, guess where the body is? It's serving you there. Who created that? Your ex-husband? Your partner that took all the money? Your sibling? Your email? No.
That's the tough piece. That's the piece that people struggle with all the time, is really comprehending that we are creating our reality every single moment of every single day. And we can either do it consciously or unconsciously. And so I love all that you're sharing with us, but I would really love you to share your personal story of how you actually had kind of two conflicting messages that you were sending out to the universe. You want to heal the world and you want to create this, right? Can you share that with the audience?
Absolutely. So, so again, this is that surrender and that intention work. These are the components that are really the root to whatever you build and create in your world. whatever it is. And there's science to show you every cell and how it expresses at the genetic level. So my intention, so it's, I've been working on creating a way of healing better for about a decade, but for the last 4 years, very diligent in building a model that I know works. A model that I originally created as a healing center at a farm, a location, a three-dimensional space. I had a blueprint that showed a 4,000 square foot brick and mortar space with 100 modalities within this space and an analytical system that could measure the bodies and the humans and then treat them with these amazing things and educate them with great events and content. And I was like, yep, this is it. This is it. And so, and this I built and created. It was in the works for several years. And I was going nowhere. I was like, I'm not, the funding's not coming in. I found the location. It was an amazing organic farm and it was perfect. And the funds and the financing and all the things to build that just would not solidify. And I knew that I was creating that. And it's like, and I kept for 10 years, when I first decided, who am I? I am a teacher. And what I want to teach is how to heal. I want to heal the world. And because as an engineer, I knew principles, epigenetics, neuroscience, the way that these bodies work, performance and nutrition, and I understood. So I wanted to heal the world. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. And I started to develop this center, and it was a 4,000 square foot location, and things weren't working. I'm like, okay, Ken, go back to the drawing board, close your eyes, get out of what you think and get into what is real. Go to the objective observer and look down on things. And it was like 4,000 square feet doesn't necessarily heal 8 billion people, does it?
Right? Right? Do you see? Are you guys seeing this? So he's telling the universe he wants to heal the world and he wants to do it in 4,000 square feet.
It's like, okay, like I want more money and I find a penny.
Right?
You see the analogy? And I was like, okay, back to the drawing board. What am I doing wrong? And it's not that I had nothing wrong in the concept as far as the modalities and I know the way to heal the body. It's not through chemistry and it's not through injections. It may not be through procedures and surgeries and that. I know how energy influences biology. So that was all cut and dry. I felt like that was pretty solid. But what I didn't look at was how we can share this. How can we make it more duplicatable? Why am I doing it all by myself, right? In this 4,000 square foot location. Now, I wasn't by myself. I had a team of 7 people. We were building this model, but I was like, wait a minute. I need to give this away. I need to give this away. I need to teach how it's done, and I need to build it in a portable model. How do I build it in a portable model? So I started shrinking it down into the most effective ways to change a body in the shortest period of time. Amplitude and singular application. And so I put that together. The analytical engine was the same, essentially. It's an autonomic nervous system analysis. I could do that in 5 minutes. It's non-invasive. It's a piece of cake. It's portable. But I'm like, okay, well, how do I take these other things, these other systems, and make them mobile? Well, when we're looking at the main things that change the body, the main things, light therapy, okay, this changes the body because the body speaks in one language, light. We are creatures of light. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. They shift 400 systems in our body within that circadian rhythm. Okay, light therapy. Number 2, vibration. Vibration, frequency. Yes, light's frequency also, but vibration. Everybody has probably had a massage in their life, and that mechanical manipulation of the system of the body, right? Whether you're working with fascia, whether you're working with deep tissue, whatever you're doing, that mechanical infusion changes the body. The body receives it. You just a hug. I mean, how do you feel when you get a great hug? Right? Okay, that's vibration. That's vibration. It may have a single frequency because when you stop moving your arms, it's like it's a single frequency. It's one oscillation. Okay. But it's still vibration. Okay. Number two, sound. Another portal of frequency, another application to these bodies. Eyes are optical, so light, and as well as the communication systems within our body, including the meridians. Sound also speaks to the brain. Okay. Number four, microcurrent. We know microcurrent very well. We know, I mean, it's been studied since the early 1900s. Increase of ATP production by up to 500%. That's mitochondrial energy, folks. Adenosine triphosphate. Those are molecules that the mitochondria uses as an energy field. Okay. So increase in ATP production by up to 500%, increase in amino acid transport by up to 40%, increase in protein synthesis by up to 70%, just by applying a microcurrent. Now, and we know with Healy, we can not only apply a microcurrent, but we can apply a signal on the microcurrent to target very specific systems, organs, cells, emotions, content, body. So the last piece was, how do we take this and amplify it in the body's needs? And that's concentrated oxygen. If we increase the oxygen content to the body, the available concentration of oxygen to every cell, we amplify all of these modalities. We give the body its power back, right? In ways of increasing cognitive clarity, again, nutrient transport within the cell, viability of the cell, all of that increases tremendously. And so those five systems, those five pieces, can boil down into a very compact space that I can put anywhere. I can go into a yoga studio. I can go into a massage therapy room. We can go into anywhere. I can travel with it on the airplane, except for the oxygen concentrator. I don't take that with me on the airplane, but everything else fits in a roll-on case that I can throw up in the overhead, and I can go in and I can do a full-on event anywhere, and I can treat a minimum of 4 people per hour. Okay.
Right. Didn't you take this to India last year to a hospital?
I took it to India. I took it to a woman's very high-end technical hospital, a very state-of-the-art hospital where I was invited in to display this. I did a presentation to the entire staff. I had the whole hospital staff. And then I treated everyone there. And they were blown away. They were blown away in terms of how they felt in just 20 minutes. So, and interesting enough, in measuring their autonomic nervous system, I have a perception that, they're kind of easygoing, right? Kind of peaceful, maybe. Yeah, right. Just driving around in that country is crazy. It's nuts. I was like, woohoo! It reminded me of Egypt and some of they know 2 things: the gas pedal and the horn. It's like, let's go. And it's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, and so it was funny to think about that. I would think that they were fairly relaxed. Some of the ancient techniques and the relaxing measures and the things they have, the beautiful places and amazing aromas and all their therapies and such. Nope. Everybody that I have tested, and I've tested, I don't know, hundreds, I found one person so far that was in essentially homeostasis, almost very close to homeostasis. Otherwise, everyone else was in some degree of fight or flight. And this is not a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen, because we're built with both those systems on purpose. But it's supposed to be an 80-20 equation. 20% in fight or flight, 80% in rest and digest. But you know something? Studies now show that 85% of the time, most people, Americans, not worldwide, but Americans, are in a higher stress response. 85%. That's exactly opposite of what I want. And so it's necessary to be able to measure and then to be able to treat, because the world needs this now. And so when I was continuously saying I want to heal the world, and I kept it harnessed within a little 4,000 square foot thing, I was getting nowhere. And the moment that I said, I have a mobile system, the universe came down. Hang on. Whew. The second that we get a crack in our shell of belief, ego, darkness, limitation, whatever it is, one little crack, the light that shines through from the universe illuminates everything, and it's like a complete redo, and it's like a knowing. Breathe, Ken. And so I reorganized everything. I surrendered, right? I surrendered what this mind thought was the way, and created this new mobile way. And all of a sudden, the invitations to demonstrate that went crazy. And I didn't know where it was going to lead. Now, I want you to understand that this reorganization was May of 2024. It wasn't a year ago. It wasn't even 6 months ago. Well, no, it was 7 months ago, right? And the moment you do that, the crack in the shell of ego, of our thinking that we got it figured out, that the universe comes down and says, let me show you. Let me show you the abundance of your idea. Let me show you exactly how we can make this work. Okay. So suddenly I get these invitations. I start displaying this way of being, and it just connects person after person after person. And suddenly out of the blue, now I'm not into the political arena. I'm really connected in my number one community is the Dr. Joe community, thousands and thousands of people that I interact with and interface with. And then of course the Healy community is huge, in working with that for several years, and working with the leadership group. And I see Doc Steve is on here. He and I have done a lot of stuff together. We're like, mind meld all the time. It's hilarious. It's fun. But the point is, I have these other communities, and they're not political, right? And yet my dream, my intention to heal the world needs a bigger platform. And when you have that clear intention, something in a way you least expect is going to show up. And if you step into that open door, it's going to be the next level. And so I was offered, out of the blue, a person that I hadn't even interacted with for like over a year said, hey, are you interested? You want to display this? You want to show this? You want to speak to this in the Making America Healthy campaign? Making America Healthy again. And I'm like, you know how it is when something you feel is super huge, and your voice is saying yes and your body's saying right. And you just do it. You do it, and then you surrender everything to that unified field. You surrender it to your intention. Stay locked on your intention to heal the world. Stay locked on your intention that this system works. It makes a difference in every human body it touches. And then just tell about it. So that's, do you see how when we let go of something that's not working,
100%, 100%. And so you let go, you created something else, but the intention now has always been to heal the world. So one of the big ways to heal the world is to get them out of the old paradigm and into the new paradigm. So we've got to empower people to realize that they need to take their power back. And so Ken has an opportunity to sit on this panel, to be at this huge national event and actually let people know that change is afoot. And so he can lay foundation. I mean, we know RFK is going to do all that RFK is going to do. That's not Ken's job. Ken's job is to tell them what else is possible. Once you let go of all these shoulds, once you let go of he said this and she said that, and they wore white coats, so therefore then they're right, then what happens? The reason people don't want to let go of that is they don't know how to act and react and interact in the world if they let go of that. But here, Ken has this opportunity to share with the world what comes next. What's a better way? What are we going to do? So, Mr. Close, when you're sitting there on Saturday, what are you going to tell these people?
So the key points for America, what I want to share, is that there is a way to give the people their power back, right? And not just the people, but the body its power back. And as you know, I've said it many times, I level a playing field in one spot, and that's the body, because we all have one. So number one is to give the body its power back. And that means that it's a way of really creating lasting and even permanent health within each individual, each one of your lives, right? And so this also means taking responsibility for your own self-care. Right? It's very important that we actually, as Americans, as humans, as people all over the world, but I'm going to be speaking to the American, public right there. But it is important that we take responsibility for our own healthcare, our own system of internal beliefs. We believe certain things, and if they are not serving you, people, stop doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If it's a behavior that's not serving you, and it doesn't matter if it's with your spouse, if it's with your parent, if it's with your boss, if it's with anyone in your world, and I'm telling you, the hardest struggle is to stop this poor behavior with the people you love. And this is what the American people need to understand. It's okay. It's okay to empower you, because your health is the most vital thing. You can't step over it to support someone else, because you won't be able to sustain you. You'll be gone. And then who's going to take care of the world that you want to take care of? Right? So that's very important to take that responsibility. And we are all at least a leader of one, right? If not many. And so that's really pulling your own leadership back into the holster. Okay. Number two, learn, educate yourself, research. Stop listening to Joe that says, I ate peanut butter to get all these muscles. I was like, you know what? You go to the gym and somebody you see has got big old muscles, and you go in there. Trust me, I know guys who do this. They mess with you. I've been in the fitness industry for decades, and I know many people, weightlifters, bodybuilders, right? And they're in there working out, and people just come and hound them about, how'd you do that? How'd you do this? How'd you do this? And I had one guy, he's hilarious. He told one of the other younger power that you're putting your plates on wrong. He's like, what? He goes, yeah, you're putting them on with the words in. The words need to be out. Turn your plates around. You'll get stronger. The guy went and changed all of his plates on the bar so that he would get stronger. People, does the plate weigh different weights when you turn it this way versus that way? It weighs the same. But again, we take information because we see somebody who's getting what we want and we don't have it, and we want to dig into how they did it. So we take their word as law. There's nothing wrong with asking advice. I think referral programs are amazing, but then research what you learn. Please take what you learn. We live in a world of abundant information. There's no reason we cannot claim ignorance anymore. And there is people like Lori that's willing to teach and to help and to serve, right? Every one of you guys that are on this call, I'm sure, are leaders of many. So this is what we need to tell the American people. We need to make sure that they understand that. Another thing is I want everyone to understand that everything is frequency. We need to teach the world that everything is frequency. Every piece of matter has a frequency to it. And we could either be coherent or incoherent with frequency. And every cell in every body has a signal, a frequency, right? And if we are coherent with the frequency, the cell is vibrant, is beautiful, is healthy. If we're incoherent, then it's not. And it's important that we understand that frequency is in everything, and you can't see it. Nikola Tesla, we know this, said 100 years ago, the day that science begins to study the non-physical phenomenon, it will make more strides in one decade than it did in its entire existence. Science will make more strides, not you and me, science. And so then what we do is we look at research and we take a look at science, and then we make our assessments. The reason I'm talking about frequencies and educations, we need to learn about this. It's important that we learn about frequency, the non-visible way of influencing the body, because we've ignored it long enough, and we're discovering now that that's been to our detriment. Okay. So finally, I want to tell the American people that we need to declare our greatness, right? Every one of you. I want you to think about your greatness. What is it? Why are you here? I mean, why are you here on this call? Why are you here on this planet? And I'll say, why are you here in this audience, people? Why are you here? And if you know what that is, declare it. If you don't know what that is, find out. Find out. Attune to your heart. Tune in. It knows. And there's something in your life that drives you. Look at that. Claim and declare your greatness. And when you do that, and you stand on your belief about that greatness, right, you will serve in a much higher way. And the infinite intelligence, the divine intelligence, will come down and peek through that crack that you just made. And be careful, put your helmet on, don your seatbelt, because stuff accelerates like quantum fast. Do you understand? So those are things I really want to present to the American people. Not much different than what we talk about here, is it?
Yeah, simplified. That's the key. It's simplified. I really wanted Ken to get on that stage and talk about epigenetics, but he said, if I do that, nobody will know what I'm talking about. If I use that word, no one will know what I'm talking about. So he's going to explain what it is and then say, and it's called epigenetics.
Now, again, as far as time, it's still in flux as to what this looks like and how the idea. One of the ideas and the concepts here is that it is a audience interactive process, and so there'll be a way in which the audience gets to interact with us. So
that means I get to ask questions. Yeah.
Everybody that's out there gets to ask questions and to be interactive. And so based on those questions, because the important thing about presentation, if you guys, you've been on stage, read your audience, right? You may have an understanding, a concept, it doesn't a script, whatever, but if you've got to reach at least 80% of your audience, and you got to read that audience and go and know what they're looking for. And so an interactive audience like this is brilliant and makes sense. And being able to tweak and address based on our information, right? Each one of them up there will be a very specific entity. My position, what I'm there for, is making America healthy again. Maha. That's the part that I've been invited to represent. Make America healthy again. And so the questions and the dialogue and everything that will be, all the transaction around that will be under that umbrella. So, so that's it. Now, I'm presenting this so that I don't know how it's going to be broadcast publicly, or if it's going to be a live cast in some fashion. I don't know. There is a media entity that's part of this, and sometimes they don't put much out there, live anyway. So we'll see. When I know something, I'm going to share it with Lori and everyone that's in my group, in my network. I'm going to put it on the social media platforms that I'm on everywhere, so that you guys know how to tune in, right? So just stay tuned.
Yes. And I will try to record as much as I can.
Yeah.
When we're speaking, I will record.
Yeah, it's as far as being a member or being part of the audience, it's not an inexpensive venture. It's I know that, and so I guess if you're not able to get there in the audience and be there live, just channel you into me, okay? Just shoot me your energy, open your heart, connect to mine, and let's just co-create, right? And just know that there's going to be that happening. Quantum entanglement says that every one of you that's here is part of me, and vice versa. So, and Lori, I mean, we're not separate from each other. I just got done telling you the unified field, the infinite intelligence that's creating 800,000 cells per second in you is in every one of us. This is at the very foundation, our unification. Okay. So thank you. Jenny says, be right there with you. Good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. So, if there's any questions, of course, we can answer that about what's going to happen there. Just know that what we've been talking about here for how long, Lori? How long have we been doing this?
3 years.
3 years. Oh my God. All of those ways of being is necessary. It's necessary to teach that, and we've been doing that, and so that has led to this moment. That has led to this moment in some way. This is, you guys can go to, if you want to put up the website where you can go and take a look at what's going on here. Let me pull it up real quick.
I got it.
Okay. The dcinaugural.com, something like that. Yep. In fact, if I can share my screen. You want to take a look? You have it, Lori?
Yep, right there.
Okay, there you go. Okay. So you see that it is dcinaugural.com. Okay. And so you can go and take a look at it. If you scroll up on that page, you'll see where it's at. and it's at the MGM. Um, is there components of economic restructuring such as cryptocurrency, leadership, uh, all those different technologies and policies? Yeah, it's all there. Why? It's part of our world. So is that all it is? No. So if you've only seen that in your conscious mind, then there's some rewiring needed to be done. Okay. So if again, folks, if you're just connected to the political aspects of this, think about how that has perhaps had an influence on your body over time. Um, I really want us to take responsibility for what bodies we've designed, because as I said, the very first step is surrender. You want to make something different in your life. What is holding you back? That's what you need to surrender. I, I know I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's necessary. And the reason we're not moving to the next phase or the next step is because we have not found enough value in that necessity. We're not willing to make the sacrifice to surrender something. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something from my heart. Sometimes that's family. You understand? I'm not saying that, you know, that we shun anyone, but the moment you make a change in you, there's a natural fallout. There's a natural reorganization of material form all around you. It's natural. It doesn't feel scary. It doesn't feel, it might be a little scary, but it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels kind of, there's some familiarity to it because it is you. It's the you that's been trying to jump out of you for a long time, right? And it is required that you let go of something that is seemingly so attached that it's impossible to do. And sometimes it was a creator of a trauma in our past. And I want us to really understand that no matter what trauma, and I'm not trying to discount anything, please hear me. I'm not trying to discount anyone's conditions, anyone's past, anyone's trauma, or anyone's pain. I'm not trying to discount this. What I want you to understand is whatever happened to us. I've had mine. I'm not perfect. I mean, I've lived a life of many things. From, listen, I grew up in a foster home. I mean, come on. There's things inside of us that hurt us. But if we continuously remember those things, I want you to understand that the body does not know the difference between something you make up in your mind and something you experience in your real three-dimensional space. It doesn't know the difference. It's an objective servant to your consciousness, to your mind, and to the tune of 800,000 cells per second. It becomes the version of you sitting in the space that you're in right now. And every time you pull back an old wound, an old experience, an old trauma, and you move it to the present moment and you rehearse it, the body goes right back there. And all of the healing, all of the repair, all of the traction you've made goes away. You understand? So this is where people say, I made one stride forward and 3 steps back. And that's because we're not willing to let something die. Let something be surrendered 100%. That's necessary. So, does that make sense? Laura,
Makes sense.
you want to expand on that at all?
You know, I always say when you set an intention of something that you really, 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 really want, and you declare it to the universe and you own your greatness and you know it's going to happen, watch out, because whatever's in the way of that is going to fall away. And
Quickly.
very, very. And it may not be comfortable. In fact, often it's very uncomfortable. But that's when you have to really get conscious and remind yourself, oh, wait, yeah, I set an intention for this. This was in the way, therefore, then it needs to go. So rather than being victim to what was just lost, you empower yourself and go, oh, okay, I get it. That didn't happen to me, it happened for me, so that it clears the pathway that I can obtain what it is I'm really, really, really wanting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, oftentimes we want to take the easiest path, and the path of least resistance doesn't mean it's the path of healing. Every time you create a synaptic connection, two neurons firing together, wired together, and that's a thought. And when we have that same thought over and over and over and over, it becomes a neurological bundle, what we call a default neural network, right? And it just makes it easy for that thought to continue the same energy flow. And that thought might be that every time someone says something negative about my clothing, that I am unworthy. Or every time I smell a certain cologne, I am in fear, right? Those are biological signaling that have been hardwired in the brain based on a traumatic event that built this model to protect you, to help you survive. But now it's not serving you because that same seemingly protective and survival mechanism is now creating disconnect, disharmony, and disease in the body. And you can't afford to keep it. And so we want to shift all that out. We want to raise our energy. We want to change our frequency. Then here's the hack, folks. This is the hack. If you have a hard time surrendering, okay, okay. If you have a hard time creating an intention, okay, okay. But what if you had a hack that said if you just stayed for as long as you can in the feeling and the moment of love, if you could just do that, that you would start opening the door to support the other two. Hear me. This is important because what did I say? The body doesn't know the difference between something you make up in your mind or an experience you're having in your three-dimensional world. So if you have the ability to fantasize, to imagine, if you have the ability, here's the easy one. If you have the ability to worry, anybody here have the ability to worry? Then that means you have the neurological hardware, the biological hardware, the software to pretend to be in love. If you can pretend to be angry over something that isn't here yet, aka worry, right? You're creating an emotion because of something that hasn't even happened yet, aka worry. If you can do that, and maybe some people does it very well, then you have all of the ability to make up the feeling of love. And here's all it takes. One thing you've ever loved in your life. It doesn't have to be huge. If you've ever loved a sunset, the love of the ocean, a pet, a friend, a color, a song, right? I mentioned cologne or perfume, a scent, anything. If you've ever loved something, you have everything you need to do this hack. All you got to do is remember it, rehearse it, and every time your mind says, yeah, but, or I'm hungry, or what was that sound? You just go right back to what it was you were in love with. Just keep doing it. Practice. And when you can do it for 30 seconds, give yourself an attaboy. Have a celebration. We can do it then all of a sudden for a minute, another celebration. Pretty soon, you keep practicing this, you keep doing this, you're going to be able to do it for an hour, right? Or all day. So my watch measures HRV, right? The heart rate variability. It tells me when I'm in stress or I'm in rest. And the practice that I do is that what I just said. And whew, when we can fall in love with chaos, when we can fall in love with pain, when we can fall in love with any moment, no matter what the outside world is presenting, now we've taken our power back. Understand? And now there's nothing outside of us that can sway this body from healing. And my watch measures that. And I am, on average, in my waking day, 16 to 18 hours, whatever the waking day is, in over 16 hours of that in rest. Understand what that means? I'm not in the sympathetic system. I'm not in that fight or flight. I am in rest and digest. My body is healing. That's exactly what that means, ladies and gentlemen. It means your body is healing. And Doc, thank you for the information. Your HRV is within tolerance of being in parasympathetic, rest and digest, and everything is healing in your body. It doesn't matter what you've eaten. It doesn't matter how much you've slept. It doesn't matter what's going on in your thoughts, because they are putting the body in that parasympathetic state and you're healing. So if you can do that for the majority of your day, so 16 hours, if I'm awake for 16 hours, 100% of my day and my waking day was in rest and digest. Then I go to sleep and do some more. Now I'm within that tolerance of that 80-20 rule, right? And my body will repair itself. My immune system will be on point. My digestive system will be on point. My muscle, my acuity, my brain, everything will be on point. And all I'm doing is falling in love. I'm falling in love with whatever I choose. Nobody told me what that is. Understand? That's the way.
That's the way. And as I always say, when you start with that worrying, switch that W word from worrying to wondering, because both of those are thoughts of the future. But worrying is thinking it's going to be negative. Wondering opens the world of endless possibilities for it to be something magnificent and fabulous, like getting asked to speak at a national conference like that.
Right?
Right. Yes.
I love
So, so once this all calms down and we get back to some semblance of normalcy, if there ever will be any after this, we're going to actually be hosting the gut reset workshop. And, we talked about it a lot during our last Monday Night Magic, and we didn't want to not mention it again tonight because we had promised we were going to talk about it. But some things got in the way and became even more important to share with you tonight. So we're just going to take a couple of minutes and let you know why this is so important, and then a few of the details about it. And I want to start by just sharing this clip with you of Dr. Zach Bush, because I think this really epitomizes why Ken and I are going to be doing this.
What we now know is that as soon as an antibiotic hits the system, within the next 12 months, the risk of that person developing major depression goes up by 24%. If you give them 2 courses of antibiotics in that year, their risk of a major depression goes up 44%. And so here we are treating pneumonia or a urinary tract infection or a sinus infection, and what we're really doing is undermining the entire metabolic capacity of their gut-brain axis. And we are predisposing that person to a loss of sense of self-identity. And they develop that deep major depression, this disconnect from self, because self is not a single species. Self is the description of your relationship to nature, the nature within you. And so
once you understand that gut-brain connection, you realize it's not just about having a healthy gut and digesting your food properly, etc.
I'm saving up to buy a house.
Sorry, background noise. So 50% of your neurotransmitters get made in your gut.
100% in some of them.
Right.
Depends on the
Right.
neurotransmitter.
Depends on the neurotransmitter. But if the neurotransmitters are getting made there, and that's the stuff that's helping to control your emotions and balance your emotional state, and we are vibrational beings, and every thought is a prayer, and every emotion is an even stronger prayer, then we really want to make sure that we have those emotions in check. So this isn't about just losing weight. It's not just about digesting better. It's about feeling better. It's about manifesting better.
You saw us. So we did a presentation a couple months ago, which was the romance, right, between the synaptic connection, right, your mind and your body. We did this romantic dance, and that was kind of giving you the precursor, because that was part of the educational process to understand what's coming. And this. What we're doing is it's a 3-day gut reset, but it's done in 3 days. And what it looks like is that I'm going to 3 times those 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to come on live, and we're going to have a Zoom call, and I'm going to teach you. Lori and I are going to give you the nuts and bolts of the content that every day and what we're doing and why. So the educational piece will be yours forever. Not only that, I'm going to have a recipe for every meal for all 3 days. And I'm going to encourage you to do those. Recipe for snacks, also water, giving you very, very explicit detail. I'm going to offer the opportunity for you to let me take over your life for 3 days, right? just in terms of nutrition, thought, in the information field. Okay. And there's a list of very specific raw materials that you're going to need, that your body needs, because just diet alone right now, at this point in most people's lives, is going to take way more than 3 days to reset your gut. But we can do this in 3 days. But what we need is some raw materials that go in and speak differently to the part of us that is not human. That whole entire friendly flora, that whole bacterial microbiome, that field. And then you heard Zach talk about with just a simple regimen of antibiotics, antibacterial, antibiotic, right? These are bacteria in our body that support our digestive system. 30 feet of digestive system from your mouth to the other end. And there's a process that goes on throughout the whole orchestration, and not one part of it is unnecessary. And when one piece stops functioning properly, the entire conveyor belt backs up, you know? So we can't keep killing off this bacterial system and expect it to do its job. What it does when we give it abuse is it builds a shell around itself, essentially like a mucous membrane, like a cocoon. And then what we absorb reduces. You've heard of bioavailability? It goes in the toilet, literally, because it's just going right through you and out the other end. There's no real deep bioavailability of the body. And so we want to get rid of this film. And so there's a very specific enzyme that we use to do so. And you're going to take that as a supplement, right? I'm going to show you when. We'll tell you when, and we'll tell you how. And then we're also going to give you very specific probiotics. Now, I know some of you may be taking probiotics right now and prebiotics. The problem is what's on the market in a lot of cases is not effective. doesn't really have all of the proper species, nor to the degree of amplitude. So I'm going to give you you're going to have a list of things that I want you to get. And these things that I you get will not just be for the 3 days. They'll have a full month's supply, and you can do it again and again and again and again. I mean, there's enough to do this multiple times. So the point is that I'm going to teach you perhaps something you can use the rest of your life, right? That's what Lori and I are going to do. And so we're also going to have a very specific amino acid regimen. I'm going to ask you to use these on purpose. And the reasons are because of their bioavailability and their effectiveness and the orchestration of how they're combined. That's critical, because we may be doing great on ingesting amount of protein per day. We're thinking we're doing amazing. Maybe we have a great smoothie that works and we love it and it tastes great. But if you don't have all the essential amino acids, the proteins amino acids are building blocks and assistants for proteins. They're the smaller pieces of the protein. And if you don't have all the amino acids on board, then most of that protein is not doing its job. Your body's not assimilating it in a way. And then if your gut biome has that film I spoke to you about, it's not assimilating it either. So we're changing all that. And then I'm going to give you also every mineral on the planet to take every day. And your brain is a mineral engine. And you've heard of some of these amazing sea salts and Himalayan sea salts and salts like that are out there that are great, but still they're missing. They might be 56 of the minerals. I'm going to show you how to get 91. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to ask you a favor. Anyone who wants to be involved in this, great. It's not free, but it's not expensive. Okay, but I want to ask a favor. I want to ask a favor of you to release your judgment, because some of the things that we have acclimated our taste buds to are not serving us. And when we give something to our mouth or our body, our taste buds that does serve us, ew. Ew. Right? That's because we have tainted the natural systems in our body to allow the crap and in our bodies because it tastes good. Well, it's an acquired taste, right? Everybody ever heard that? Like, you start, I don't know, drinking some kind of alcohol, or you start eating some kind of thing, and it's like, it's an acquired taste. Just keep going. Okay, well, the same thing happens naturally when you change your diet and you eat things that are not good for you. Initially, it might have been too sweet, too salty, too whatever. But then all of a sudden, it was like, too good. Got to do it some more. Okay, well, let's reset that. Let's get you back into vitality. Let's get you back into homeostasis, right? In that regard. And watch how you feel and how you think. Because now we're giving the generator the raw resources to build the foundation that then builds the entire organism or structure. Sound fun?
In other words, he's asking you to leave your inner 2-year-old at home.
You cut out there for a second, Lori. To do what?
Leave their inner 2-year-old at home.
Ew, I don't like it. Eat it anyway. No. The meals that are created for you guys are delicious. They're amazing. And we just need to put more of that kind of stuff. It's living food. Some of it's fermented food on purpose, right? Prepared in a certain way on purpose, so we can preserve the nutrients within, and then giving the supplements to help to really allow you to absorb that. Okay?
And they need to be hydrated. So we're going to recommend.
Yep. Hydrogen water.
Right? We're going to recommend hydrogen water. In particular, we're going to recommend the Lumavite hydrogen water bottle. And I will be sending out information as to exactly why that bottle is superior to all other bottles on the market. And it's the only one personally that I would use to put the hydrogen water into my system and I use it every day. And this is what I'm going to say about it. Cost per use, just in 1 year, it's under like 21 cents per use. So since it is a 3-year warranty, that means it's 7 cents per use. So from that perspective, it's pretty incredible. So the way this is going to work is we're going to have an early bird special. The regular price on the 3-day program with all the information, all the recipes, the 3 days with us is $149.97. If you sign up by the 15th, which is just like 48 hours, it's $99.99. And then it goes back up to $149.97. And registration is going to have a hard close on the 23rd of January. The reason for that is that the products need to be ordered by the 23rd so that we can ensure that you will get them in time to start on the 7th with us. So
there'll be a whole essentially workbook PDF kind of thing to follow along and to have and to use as a study guide, and it'll have all the recipes and how to make them and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we're gonna make sure that what we do for you is tolerable for you know, whether if you are a vegetarian, you know, there's let me clarify some things too, by the way. Typically gluten intolerance has a formula. It has a formula. And the formula requires that the gut biome be out of whack over a long period of time. And then the body becomes intolerant, even to the point of extremely toxic. So what happens when you do these gut recesses, you'll find all of a sudden a difference, a change in this intolerance. I'm not saying go back and start chowing on things that, you know, full of gluten, but the gluten ingested in the United States is not the same that's ingested in Europe. Right? The raw materials.
100%. I actually did an experiment because I've been gluten-free for, oh God, as long as I practically remember. And I had heard if you go to Italy, you can eat all the bread and pasta that you want because they don't use glyphosate, because it's really not the gluten, it's the glyphosate. And that's a whole nother story. Come to the event and we'll explain to you why it's the glyphosate and what the glyphosate actually does. But so I'm at Whole Foods and they had this amazing Italian pasta on sale and it said made in Italy. And I went, oh, well, I don't need to get on an airplane to test this. I'm going to just do it. I did. I bought it. I made it. I had no bloating, no gas, none of the symptoms that I normally would have had if that had been American pasta. So,
but we don't know that because we've never done anything differently. That's
right.
The key thing, is that we've never surrendered what we've done to try something differently, because the belief structure around what gluten does to us, because it's painful, it's unhealthy, it's dangerous, whatever it is that the mind is believed in, we'll never get outside of that small bandwidth of tolerance. We won't. But anyway, so so the schedule for the 3 days, you know, my intention is to try to make it cover all various time zones, right? So from the US, from Pacific time zone to East time zone, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I know some people might be working on Friday, but we'll record these so you can still have them. And only the people that, you know, you guys that are going to be attending will get this content. So this is one of those things that it's still in the build. We're almost done with that, but building that timing so that we can cover both time zones. You may have to give up, and it's only 45 minutes. I'm not going to keep you on. We've been there for a lot longer. It's going to be 30 to 45 minutes. That's the time you're going to be on the call. Other than that, it's going to be content and just instruction to follow, what to cook, when to eat it, how to supplement, right? So including some things such as grounding and breathing and, you know, some other self-care protocols. So you're going to gain stuff that I know you'll use the rest of your life. And I know you'll probably teach people around you. Okay. All right.
Yes. So the registration link is you're going to actually, your payment will be your registration. Once you get that set up, then I will send you the link to the actual event, and there'll be more materials sent to you as well. So
So there you go. And I see you guys sharing resources. I love that because, you know, these resources such as pastas and things, it's just amazing. If you haven't traveled, you know, around a bunch, then it's hard to know, right? And you can hear somebody's testimonial, but unless you do it, most of the time we won't, though, because we're in fear of suffering, bloating, gassy, upset, all that. Okay, so all right, we've been on here for sorry about that. Sorry, you guys, for keeping it so long, but thank you for staying. I'm so grateful for the people that are here and staying. In closing, I want to offer a thought. The better you get at falling in love with life, the better it will be at falling in love with you. If you could just fall in love with life, because it's a blessing that so many do not have, and there are loved ones in your life that no longer have it. You do. Now, that's still limited in time, but because you are alive, you still have time. Fall in love with life and watch what happens around you and to you. Does that make sense? I just want to close with that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to get this recording out to everybody tomorrow. And I'm just going to ask you to share it with the world, because the people that can't get to DC can hear what we shared tonight, and it'll be as meaningful as being there.
You're in here, folks, right here. You're in my heart. And thank you for being there. And there's plenty of room for everybody. I love you guys. Thanks for being here.
Love you, Lori. Love you, love you. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for being so amazing. Thank you for being our fearless teacher, and Godspeed. It's going to be amazing.
Love it. Can't wait. All right, you guys. Mwah. Bye for now.